kidding.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of No Title Needed. My name is Cynthia Collins.
And I'm Scott Osborne.
We are your co-hosts.
Yeah.
Aren't you lucky? But we're super lucky today because we have a pretty excellent guest, Alexis Nunnelly, or as her mother would say sometimes, Nunnelly. But we're going to stick to Nunnelly. That's your story. You're sticking to
I'm
it.
sticking to it.
Thanks for
you
being
guys
here.
For having me. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's a real treat.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are an artist. You're a visual artist.
Yeah.
And tell us the specialty or what you like best or what you like working with most.
So I studied painting, so I always kind of go for that painter, you know. I have a BFA from Herion School of Art and Design, and then I have an MFA from the New York Studio School in Manhattan.
Yes.
And so for me, it was a very traditional route, and I was always drawn to painting. I remember when I went on a tour at Herion, and I just looked into the painting studios, and I was like, oh my God, my people. Like, I was just like, my people.
I remember
must
that.
be dirty, must be. I'm like, oh my God. They were painting these like huge paintings, and I was just like, I need to do that. And I just knew, like, so it's always been for me, like, painting has been the pull. And I think it's just because of this like materiality that I love about it. So much of the, like, my Instagram's called The Artist Type because I'm so fascinated with the way in which we sell this idea. Like, basically what I was drawn to about painting, I just find it fascinating now where it's like, oh, the turmoil, like you're staying up late at night, chain smoking cigarettes and like figuring it out. And like, you know, like that idea of this artist that is sold to us, I'm like, that is basically what I fell in love with. So I'm always fascinated with like, okay, what does that mean nowadays in like 2025? Like, you know, with Instagram, with the internet, like, where do you need to be? I literally moved to New York. Like, the story was so ingrained in me. And now I'm at a point in my life where I'm just kind of questioning all of those things and figuring out, like, do I need to be starving artist? Do I need to struggle to be like making good art? Like, those are questions I kind of think about now. So I've always been drawn to, I always say image making. I love making images, whether that's with a camera, whether that's with paint. Yeah, it's like storytelling, image making.
What do you like the best? Like, do you like working with watercolor, acrylic, oil, anything?
Like,
you know,
I'm like, I want it. Oh, yeah. So you train in oil, and that's kind of the first thing that I really loved. But more and more recently, I do a lot of acrylic, and I just like the water-based type things that I can kind of play with more. I also get pretty messy, so the oils, like, sometimes I'm just like thinking back to when I wasn't wearing gloves, painting with oil. Like, I'm like, that was also, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, no, not great.
Yeah.
So there's things that I do with the oil. Like, I'll do a lot of acrylic, and then maybe like the top layer will be oil. But I also love spray paint. I'm just like, anything I can get my hands on.
So you mix it? You mix them? So just say it.
Yeah.
It's all right. We're all friends here.
Technically, people would be like, that's sacrilegious. And, you know, I was like, don't. But you put acrylic first. Anytime, like, the oil just has to be on top.
Right.
That's the only rule. Sometimes I break my rules, but, you know.
But mixed media is its own form of art.
Exactly.
I mean,
I think so.
I love mixed media.
Yeah.
What do you like to? Do you like landscapes? Do you like to actually paint people?
Yes. People.
All people.
I'm always like fascinated with portrait painting, and just I love the psychology behind what it means to kind of like witness someone, and even just capturing the essence of like, there's so much more than just literally like, oh, I'm painting this thing. It's like, you're painting the air, you're painting the surface, you're painting the spirit, you're painting like what's going on when I have someone in my studio sitting for a painting is there's all of that is also there. Which I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but that's what we're also documenting.
It's right there. The person's right there with you. There's an energy.
For sure.
Yeah, I think the human form is the most elaborate thing you can really replicate on canvas.
Also, just like there's so much when you really think about looking at something, and you know, they always say in art school, it's like, oh, if you want to paint a tree, you think you have an idea of what the tree is, but like forget all of that and just like look, what are you seeing, and like document that. And I think it's so fun to have someone in your studio or doing a portrait like that for me, where it's like, okay, you look at, so you're spending time with this person in a way that's like felt in a, so people, it's always people.
Kind of like right now.
Exactly.
You can get their kind of like, do you feel like when you're doing it, you can get their soul in that painting?
Yeah. I'm
Right?
I'm getting chills. Yeah, like
Right?
that's why I just think there's something so, like, there's that reverence for, I feel like that is something that I love about the artist type personality, where it's just like you see something, I'm always like, oh my God, it's a painting. It's like there's something about it where it's just like, what is that? And that's kind of what I'm trying to capture.
Go.
I'd like to hear the top 3 of your favorite projects over the last since graduation.
Wow.
Oh, good God.
Well, wait, when did you graduate?
So Heron 2015.
Okay.
And then grad school, COVID 2020,
Okay.
which was also insane.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead. I digress.
Just in general, to think off the top of my head, the one that I most recently just did in Germany last summer, I met an amazing, talented, beautiful artist on the internet, and someone was like, you need to meet my friend Luisa. And I was like, oh, great. I saw she was painting people. She was painting bodies to match her art. And then she was photographing the figures in front of her paintings. And so that it has this like camouflage collage kind of effect.
Yes.
And I just
yes.
And I literally was like, oh my God, I've always had this fantasy of having like flesh, paint, video, kind of dancers, movement, and in an abstract way. And we just had a studio visit on Zoom, and we just kept chat. And she was like, I was like, what if we did this? And she was like, oh. And I was like, wait, now I'm going to Germany and we're doing, like, she was like, my boyfriend's a videographer. We can get dancers. And so it just like came together so amazing. So that was also just a big lesson of, I could have done that on my own, but it was such a more beautiful experience when everyone brings their strengths to the table. And like, it's just like easier. I'm like, oh, I didn't need to do all of that work together. So, and as someone, especially who's like sitting alone in my studio all the time, it's a nice reminder to be like, community, collaboration, like getting your voice and your ideas out there, that maybe you kind of take that ego away a little bit and be like, hey, like, how do we make this?
Yeah, collaboration is like you never know what's going to happen. The sparks fly.
Exactly.
When you're like, how about this? How about that?
Yeah.
How about?
And then you're like, oh my God, I would have never thought of that.
Well,
like, whoa, let's go. Yeah, I love it. So that one, and then, I don't know. I mean, I was really proud. I had a show in New Orleans a few years ago that my friend curated, and that was a really beautiful experience. And yeah, I just get so excited about, I think even in general, building out my studio in New York was like a project that I'm really proud of as well.
I get that.
So that, and as I'm like, that's a lot of effort and a lot of time. And that in and of itself is a space in a container for like the way you make things. And it's really, people come in there and they see the reflection of your art beyond the art and like who you are. And like, so yeah.
It's almost like a portrait.
We got to take a quick break.
Right.
So interesting. It is. We're taking a quick break. We'll be back with Alexis Nunnelly. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to No Title Needed. Our guest today is Alexis Nunnelly. She is a visual artist. She is currently in the city, New York City. She has her studio there. And where is your studio?
So my studio is in Ridgewood, which is it's Queens.
Yeah.
So right, like my apartment is 4 blocks away from my studio, and it's in Bushwick in Brooklyn. So I'm always like, I have 2 boroughs under me. Like, but it's not. It's literally the first street of Queens. So I'm always like, I got Queens under my belt now.
Yeah.
So, and it's really
Queens is nice.
Amazing. A lot of space and a lot of artists, a lot of young artists are moving out there.
Well, the island is getting expensive.
Yeah.
It is. I'm from there, so
She's from Jersey.
So I'm like,
yeah. I was there for years. It is kind of getting even more pricey.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But Brooklyn is too. It's not like it's kind of cheaper there either.
I think in general, everywhere, like that's the other thing is like people are like, oh my God, it's so expensive. It's like you always make it like you grow into what you need, and it's like I literally tell people, I'm like, I moved to New York with I had a kettlebell as a carry-on and like $100 to my name, and I was just like, let's go, like you make it work.
You got to
wherever
dive
you are.
in.
And I think like anywhere you go, you're just going to have to,
That's right.
like, even looking at stuff around the country, I'm like, everywhere is expensive. Everywhere is
It is. I mean, certain places more than
obviously
others.
like more than others.
Yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. The price of living is higher in some places. I know, I agree. You just got to dive in.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to do it, or else you're never going to do it.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
With your studio, and you were talking about your studio, which I love those artist studios, you know,
Right.
you guys.
So
right?
important. And hard to find. Honestly, when I was looking for my studio, I was like, dark, just like very depressing. When you're like, oh, that's so expensive for that little dark. Like it was,
Corner with a
when I
window.
saw my studio, I literally was, where do I sign? Like this is. It was so. It's been so good to me, and even I've learned so much about the energy that I get in the morning time. Like I need that light. And so now when I look for spaces, I'm like, I don't, it's like feeling you get in summer versus you get in like the darkness of winter. Like that energy is very important to my work. And,
Yeah.
you know, like obviously you can make it work anywhere, but I think when you have that knowledge about like, okay, this activates that creativity in a specific way, and I need to be able to chase that and put myself in an environment that's going to make me like bring out the energy that I want to make things in. So that's important to me for sure. But
Do you do commissions? I mean, people are like, can you please do my portrait? Can you please do my...
yeah, I think as time goes on, I really prioritize being able to do whatever I want with the painting in a way that like, I don't necessarily have to rely on it like that. And I think, you know, I've had, you know,
Well, you have to pay, listen, you got to pay the rent.
Right. So it's like, if someone's going to be like, do that, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. It's not necessarily something that maybe I would share, you know, but at the same time, anytime I can be painting and making money from that, I'm like, that's cool. You know, like, why would I not? You know, some stuff you're like, whatever. But
That's the dream.
yeah, it's like, oh my God, like what? I could be doing anything else. And like the fact that someone wants me to paint a picture of their dog, like that's awesome.
Right.
And they're like,
Picture.
"Wow, I love your stuff. Like, let's do it." And it's exciting, you know? It's like, why not? So
Real quick, I'm going to go back to Germany. You went over there, you collaborated. Did your brother, you were talking about your brother went over with
my
you?
older brother.
Yeah, talk about the people on the street.
So funny. I'm
little
so grateful for my brother because we've worked together. I mean, my dad started when we were little. My whole childhood is on VHS because my dad was just like, you know, every time the camera, his little thing was like fading out of here. We'd all be like fading out of here. So it was just like hours and hours and hours of these VHSs. And so it was definitely like in my family to be like documenting and video. And so every project I'm always like, Xander, I need you. You know, he's so talented. He's amazing. It's his own art in its way. And when I was in Germany, he and his girlfriend live in Paris. And so I was like, we got to get you over here. I was like, let's go. We got to book a flight. Like, come on. You're not across the world. Like,
Wasn't that during one of the coolest times in Paris? And was that
some people might argue they'd be like, the Olympics. But it was fun. I was like, it's kind of crazy to be able, the fact that I was there during that time, my brother lived there. Like, it was so special. I got this incredible apartment off Facebook Marketplace. I'm so lucky with the Facebook Marketplace and apartments. But the sublet that I got on the top floor with like 2 balconies in Paris in the summer, like dreamy. I was just like, we need to be like going out there. And my brother's always the one that's like pushing me because I'm very introverted in a sense where I like to like, you know, I'm like, I need to like shut the door and nobody needs to look at me. And so he was like, let's go like ask people about creativity. And in a way it was kind of
and
like,
this was in Paris, not in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was after I was in Germany in June for the project that we were painting and the dancers. And then I just knew myself. I was like, I'm not going to want to go back to New York after 1 month abroad. Like, I'm like, I'm going to want to max that out. So I was like, let's go. And so, yeah, it was crazy. And then so I'm always kind of having this conversation about intuition and creativity and how my thesis around it all is everyone's an artist and everyone is creating their experience in the reality every day. And when you start to kind of live your life from that place where everything can be like a beautiful expression and an artistic, you know, thing, life opens up in a different way. So for me, I was like, do you think you're creative? Like, do you think you're, you know, most people are like, no, I'm not creative.
They don't realize.
Yeah. And it's kind of
right?
opening it up to, again, going back to the artist type idea where it's like, oh, I'm not I don't have a drawing skill, so I'm not an art. You know, it's like for me, I'm like, okay, well, you just built a business from scratch, and like, how is that not the same thing as the material and the medium of what you're creating is?
Yeah.
Mine's just paint, you know. So it's kind of
Art
like
versus creativity.
yeah. And then it's like, so what does that mean? Like, you know, we can get into all of that where it's like, oh, what is art? But it's just like,
Well, subjective.
For sure. And I think like it allows more people to have that sort of ownership of like creativity in general when you give people more autonomy to be like, yeah, this is creative. This is fun. I'm making a meal from scratch with my family, and that is creativity. Or I'm making a garden in my backyard, and that's, you know, and it's like everything can become a little bit more
Building a deck.
I got a few rapid fire questions.
So here we go. Unfortunately, we have to wrap it up. Go.
Yeah.
Ask her the question.
As an artist, what is a question you are asked most often?
probably like, do you like living in New York or something? You know, it's like, how's it going? Like, do you like it? I don't know. Or that's it. I think the thing I get asked the most is just like, how do you do it? Or like, how does it, you know, people are in general, like you were saying about the studio, where it's like, oh, there's such an energy here. Like I remember so many of my friends are artists, and we just live the life of that I sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like it is really cool that like people see a picture of my studio and they're like, whoa, like a real artist studio. Yeah. You know, it's like people don't, I'm like, we live that every day. So it's kind of just like,
it's the same thing, right? You live it every day.
Yeah. And then so for me, I think the thing that people always ask is just like, whoa, like, you know, people, it's hard to sometimes fathom, like, if you don't live a traditional life of like 9 to 5, do the same, like when you're creating that, when you have to wake up every day and be like, all right, what are we going to do? How are we going to make this work? Like, here's this idea. How do I find someone to do it? Like, yeah, it's kind of like, how are you doing it?
Hurry up. Next question.
All right. If tomorrow you could wake up with a new ability, what would it be?
Quick.
Oh God.
Come on.
Guys.
Come on. Clock is ticking.
I would just want to have like a quiet mind.
Go. Next question.
If you could, what is something you have always wanted to do, and why haven't you done it yet?
Probably produce more short films, and I haven't done it yet because, well, I kind of have. But on the scale of like, well, I mean, and just like, it's more of like a resource thing and like an idea where it's like the collaboration where I was like, hey, like I could go shoot this short film, but it's like, maybe I need to like pump the brakes and like let it simmer and develop enough where it's like, I'm just going to keep putting it out into the ethers. So that's probably the thing I want to do the most, to be honest.
All right. I'm so sorry. We have to end this conversation.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
It's been a lot of fun.
Highly interesting. I'm always fascinated with that. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of No Title Needed. Cynthia Collins.
Scott Osborne.
Where are we, Scott?
We are at Feinstein's at the Hotel Carmichael.
It's a lovely place. Come on over and see a show. They have a wide variety of cabarets here, and you will not be disappointed. It's a beautiful space, and
you can smell the sweat from the stage.
Well, okay. And the talent.
And the talent.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you, Alexis Nunnelly. And we will see you next time.